Hello everyone, I'm Shannon Slatton. To try to limit the spread of COVID-19, we are no longer recording daily newscasts here in our Brooklyn Park studios. However, we are still out in your community every day gathering stories and bringing them to you on our website, ccxmedia.org. I invite you to check out our stories there, but in the meantime, here's a few stories that we filed.
I'm Eric Nelson for CCX News out here at picturesque Bass Lake in Plymouth, where they have an enemy called curly-leaf pondweed. And DIANE SPECTOR from the Wink Associates and the Shingle Creek Watershed joins us now. Tell us why curly-leaf pondweed is something you want to get rid of.
Well, Eric, curly-leaf is a very invasive species of aquatic vegetation in lakes. It has a curious growth habit in that it grows under the ice during the wintertime. It's one of the first species that emerges in the springtime, and it outcompetes the native vegetation and then dies off in the middle of summer and releases phosphorus into the lakes and makes a contribution towards the algae blooms in the late summertime.
Treatment began in 2019. There will be more here in 2020. What do you expect this treatment to do?
Well, we're hoping to knock back the growth of the curly-leaf and the expansion of it. The Watershed Commission did an alum treatment last year. We'll be doing another alum treatment this year. As a result of the alum treatment, the water becomes very clear, and that encourages the growth of vegetation. We really want the native vegetation to grow and not the curly leaf. So if we can knock this back really early in the spring, that gives that native vegetation a chance to grow.
And if you don't attack this curly leaf, what eventually happens to this lake and others?
If we don't attack this curly leaf, it will eventually take over because it's very, very aggressive. And then it will become a hazard to navigation and to the enjoyment of the lake, and it will also contribute to the water quality issues on Bass Lake.
People using boats or canoes or kayaks, can they do anything to make sure we don't spread curly leaf?
Curly leaf reproduces in a couple of different ways. So one of the things that happens is that if you mechanically remove it, or if you just grab it and try to remove it from the lake, you can break it apart, and it can grow from those very tiny pieces of vegetation. So if you try to mechanically remove it and then go somewhere else in the lake and accidentally deposit some of those fragments, you'll actually spread it. So really don't try to remove it mechanically. Just try to work with it until the chemicals can take their effect.
Thanks so much, DIANE. Got to keep these lakes clean. I'm Eric Nelson for CCX News, reporting at Bass Lake in Plymouth.
Grocery stores have faced several challenges since late February, early March, when the novel coronavirus first started impacting our area. Jim Olmsted with Olmsted's Fresh Market here in Crystal is going to share a little bit of his perspective. Jim, what are you seeing as far as the run on those items at the beginning, hand sanitizer and toilet paper? What's it looking like now?
Well, things have gotten a lot better. People can only store up so much, and the panic starts to back off a little bit. There may be some financial considerations, but certainly things have settled down. We still have difficulties getting hand sanitizer. We have difficulties getting other cleaning products, and Campbell soup. But most of everything else has gotten a lot better.
So you're not having a problem keeping your shelves stocked?
Well, it's a lot better than what it has been. We still have holes in a lot of areas, but things have gotten better.
All right, now we're hearing about a meat shortage, a possibility of that. What are you seeing?
Well, one of the things that people have to keep in mind about our industry is we're a very efficient industry. So most things run at a 95% of capacity to help hold costs down. So when something happens that disrupts that chain, then you start to have problems. So far we've had some difficulties getting meat. We've been asked not to advertise fresh meat for the next 4 or 5 weeks. We'll still have it, but we won't be able to put it in our ads for fear that we won't have enough of it. But this will keep working through.
And any certain meat that might be more difficult to get your hands on, pork versus beef versus chicken?
Well, they've been unfortunately euthanizing pigs. They did with turkeys. Chickens have been a problem, but. And beef, they've had a problem getting it processed. So it's a little bit of all of those departments, all of those meat items, I guess.
Right now we are working on kind of the base layers of the art piece, and then we're going to add our details on top. The main feature of the artwork is going to be the thank you, and then the figures with kind of like a superhero logo on their shirts that they're wearing proudly. But instead of a big S, it's hearts. It's really their fortitude and endurance and their hearts to be willing to do all of their duties, especially in this time where we've got a pandemic. I'm a very empathetic person, so it was really hard when all of this started to just like hear all the stories, especially of like nurses and doctors, medical staff that are camping in their backyards or camping in other places to stay away from their families during this time. And so it's kind of like you're like a superhero in that.
So Hy-Vee reached out to us a couple weeks ago to tell us about this really unique partnership they're doing with Kathy to bring her art to hospitals in 8 states. We were excited for North Memorial Health Hospital to be a part of her 8-state tour and really have the opportunity to showcase the amazing work that all frontline workers are doing during the COVID-19 pandemic.
We do the base layers with the chalk paint. It gets into all the cracks and everything, and it covers it really nicely.
Everyone in the hospital is really contributing to care for the community, and this is a nice way of paying tribute to their service.
It's an encouraging piece that's fun and colorful, and these are elements that I think we need right now during this time that's just like crazy. You want to be able to walk by something and smile.
The community has been so creative and generous to support workers, and this is just another great example of the ingenuity of what we do during tough times. And I think art is really uplifting for all of us, and so it's nice to bring this here to the hospital where people are working really hard and we're caring for the community.
Find more local news stories at ccxmedia.org and follow us on social media.
The decision on May 9th to cancel the American Legion baseball season in Minnesota was a tough one to hear from many players and their families. Jay Wilcox caught up with a couple of players from one local team.
After missing out on the high school baseball season, the guys on the Maple Grove American Legion team thought they'd at least get a partial summer season in, until they got the bad news last weekend that the season was canceled.
It's just kind of sad because this was going to be the last year that I could play competitive baseball, and then to hear that we couldn't do it and to know that last year would have been the last time I got to go out there with my teammates, it's really disappointing and hard to take in, I guess.
I was really disappointed because I think it still could have happened with social distancing out of any sport. This would be the one that they could do it with, and like no fans, that just let the kids play. That's what I wanted.
Just extremely disappointed, you know, thinking mostly about the 9 seniors that we had. We had 11 kids coming back for the 2020 season. So just the selfish point, really disappointed with the prospect of having a really good summer, but mostly just feeling terrible for the players.
In a big program like Maple Grove's, it can take time to earn regular playing time or a prime spot in the batting order. So waiting your turn usually pays off.
For me, I was 1 year under the starting catcher for like 3 years in the program, so this was finally going to be my year where I caught every single game, as I trained really hard over the off season, and then that just got taken away from me really quick.
The game itself will be missed, but also the fun times with teammates.
I'd say not being around the guys mostly, because a lot of people, they kind of throw shade on baseball being a boring sport, but I think the thing that really makes it fun is having the guys in the dugout and all that camaraderie together.
There's been some talk about possibly extending an extra year of Legion eligibility for players who missed out this season, like in the NCAA. But whether it happens or not, it's a summer of missed baseball for the Maple Grove Legion team. Jay Wilcox, CCX Sports.
Another baseball season that is not happening, yet anyway, is that in Major League Baseball. I caught up with a Brooklyn Park man who is trying to bring a little baseball fun to Minnesota Twins fans. Here's part of that story.
Austin Thune says he has no plans of going into broadcasting.
Deep to left field, Jock Peterson on the run, to the track, to the wall, and that one is gone!
But he's pretty good at it. The 2015 Osseo High School graduate is virtually playing out the 2020 Minnesota Twins season game by game through his PlayStation 4.
I play MLB The Show a lot with the Twins, and I thought, well, hey, maybe I could do color commentary over the games they were supposed to play and see if other people can enjoy it as well. And it's been received pretty well so far.
Austin says he's a big Twins fan. Like many of us, he's missing the real thing, and so the idea for this project came to life.
And the Twins have walked it off in one of the best games that we've seen this year.
Thune provides the play-by-play from the basement of his Brooklyn Park home. He streams the virtual games directly off his PlayStation and sends them to his Twitch channel, a video platform for gamers. Austin also posts results daily to Reddit and Twitter and has a number of followers.
Miguel Sano.
These virtual Twins are 26 and 18 so far this season. Austin says Mitch Garver and Jorge Polanco are hitting well, and newcomer Homer Bailey has bolstered the pitching staff. Austin graduates in the fall from Minnesota State Moorhead and will student teach at Armstrong High School. He isn't getting paid for any of this and says his season will end when and if the real Twins return to Target Field this summer.
Hopefully we have the Twins back, obviously, and I'm just planning to continue to try to provide some entertainment to people until real sports can come back.
The Twins take 3 out of 4.
To see the rest of that story and more like it, plus local news from the Northwest suburbs, go to our website at ccxmedia.org. That's all for sports. I'm John Jacobson.